What's going on, guys? Back. My last stream was, geez, I don't know. I want to say this time a week ago. Well, obviously I had my surgery. Turns out that I should have been a little more worried than what. Yeah, I should have been more worried than what was there. So the first thing you're gonna notice is that I lost the radio voice. I'm just fucking around. Like, I'm not saying that I had a radio voice to begin with, but I clearly lost some usability in the voice box. I had some complications with my surgery. Unfortunately, I had to go back because I was losing a lot of blood. In fact, I lost enough blood that I could have become comatose, or it may have even been fatal. Now, I'm not too sure how I feel about it. Like, that was a pretty big thing, you know, to have happen. I've got a kid. I've got family here, obviously. Like, it was literally like a cut and dry procedure and then just go home. Like, no big deal. But I don't know. I don't know if something happened in the stitching, but I essentially did not go back to emergency for any issues until, I want to say, I'll go and say 24 hours later. I did a full 24 hours of just bleeding internally, beyond my knowledge. So you might see, like, I look really laxed in this chair right now, but I've got to lean back. I can't sit forward. If I sit up too upright, I'm in a lot of pain. Like, I'm gonna feel it. Yeah. And I'm not trying to, like, pump out this fucking cave chest that I have, but the reality is, like, I'm still in a lot of pain. I'm feeling a lot better though, which is good. I didn't die, which is also good. But it does have its effect now, I think. When you had to put, like, I'm not saying that I wasn't happy, because I was. But I think when you're close to death, or knowing that you could have died, it definitely fucks with your head. Changes your head, for sure. I still was playing it off. Like, it's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Like, I didn't die. I mean, was it close? Yes. It was close. Close enough. Close enough for me. Close enough to never want to be that close ever again. So the complication I had was I did my surgery, came back, and had, I guess, just bleeding, just internal bleeding, but not like it wasn't pissing like a sieve or nothing. It was just small drip, 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 drip. Yeah, so it's just dripping and dripping and dripping, but I guess it just was dripping enough to keep it a constant that when I finally got into emergency, onto the table to be reopened up, I had lost, but he said by the end of it, it was closer to 3 liters of blood. Originally, I didn't know if that was a big statistic, but then having done some research, apparently the body only has 4.7. If I had lost more blood, then I definitely would be a goner or comatose. and comatose and be a goner. Who knows? It's hard to, like, I can't even speculate. There's so many fucking what if factors. Like, we could go on about how lucky I am, and don't get me wrong, I'm truly blessed. I am lucky. Like, I got lucky. It's fucked up. Like, even like leading up to it, I was making jokes, like just stupid jokes. Like, hey, want to come over and have a last meal with me? Do you want to have a last conversation? Just shit like that. Like, I have a hard time. Apparently when they tried to put the tubes down my throat for breathing, and because they were putting me out, they struggled and it scratched. And then when I went in for the second time to get into the airway, they fucking did more damage. And no fault on them. I've got this small chin, fat neck thing going on. So no fault on them. I don't place any blame. I think my surgeon was an amazing surgeon. I think he did great. But when I got out and they were already late, like when I showed up to do my surgery, I got there on time. I finished streaming, went there, and get there on time, and I find out that, there's a 3-hour delay. So by the time they got to my surgery, it was 3 hours later. I was supposed to be there for 12. And the surgery, after everything was done, I think it was like be there at 12, surgery by 1, out of there by like 2:30, some shit like that, like in, out, done. Get there, 3-hour delay. Like, fuck me, are you kidding me? So it's 12 o'clock. I'm sitting there. Move to 3 o'clock. And, then the ball they start getting the ball rolling. I go in. They do the procedure. Two things, too, were kind of shitty about it. Was like, they tell me that once they're going to go laparoscopically to cut, but in the event that there's any issues, any sort of fucking problem, they were just going to go with an old school cut. So I was going to potentially wake up and not know which surgery was actually getting done. So yeah, do the surgery. I'm hearing afterwards, they're like, do you want drugs? Do you want drugs? And I'm like, I want as little drugs as possible, because I don't want to be fucked up. I don't want to be dizzy. I don't want to be feeling shitty. And then I remember talking to the lady. Very sweet lady. Her name was Irma. Very nice. And she's like, this is your last chance to take something. And I thought, okay, I'll take it. I'll do it. I just don't want to be dizzy. I don't like that feeling. It makes me just sick. And sure enough, I take it and I feel immediately fucked up. And then they put me, so there was post care and then there was outpatient care. So in post care, they woke me up, talked to me a little bit. So much happened. I don't even really remember, to be honest. Like, I could have signed away my bank account, my life's earnings completely. I would not have known. And then I wake up in post-op care or whatever, which is the final stage. And it's late now. Like, it's fucking after hours. Like, everyone's off work. They're on night shift at this point because of how far back we had gone. And the girl wakes me up and she's like, hey, I'm just here to help you. And, whenever you're ready, I'll call your ride and they can come pick you up. And I was like, in my head, I'm like trying to move. I'm like, fuck, man, like I'm fucked up. I'm really fucked up. I'm not going anywhere. And I went to sleep. And she wakes me up. I don't know how long. I don't have a watch. I don't even carry a watch. And she wakes me up and then says, like, just to let you know, like, I'm going to call your ride. Blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not feeling too good. I'll call my ride when I'm feeling a little better. And this, like, I'm going to say, like, this bitch, she wasn't a bitch. But what she did was a bitch thing to do. After I said, I'm not feeling good, I will call my own ride. I'm not sure, like, she was young. I don't want to say young and dumb, but I don't know how to explain it for that part. But she calls my ride anyways, and they show up. And it's my mom and my daughter. And calls my ride. My mom shows up, and I'm like, what the fuck you doing here? Like, I was like, well, they called me. I was like, fuck that bitch. Like, I was going to call you when I'm feeling good. So I laid there, and she tried to talk to me, and I was groggy. I was in and out. I was dizzy, nauseous, wanted to barf. So I end up laying there some more. The girl comes around, and she's like, you're gonna have to start doing some movements. Can't just lay there, sort of. And so I kind of get pissed off, and I'm like, okay, fine, let's go. Fuck it, let's go. Bring a wheelchair, and I'm leaving. I get up. I'm immediately, like, spinning. Like, it's fucking spinning. I sit on the wheelchair. Like, my ass touches that, and I'm just like this. Just like, ugh, disgusted. So I go. And, get into the car. Roll the window down immediately. Like, fuck, I was already wanting to barf by the time I pushed the fucking down button on for the power window to go down. And I drove home. Get home. And now I'm, like, making this fucking mental grasp of, like, how am I going to get out of the vehicle? How am I going to go from the vehicle straight to my bed? Here I am thinking, like, how are we going to do this shit? Take a couple breaths. Get up. Instantly want to fall. Like, instantly, like, fuck, this is disgusting. I'm so nauseous. Rush to my room, jump in, and I don't move. I'm laying there fucking sick as fuck. Like, just disgustingly sick. And I kept thinking, like, okay, this is normal. The paper says you're going to have short breath. You're going to have nausea. You're going to feel sick. You're going to fucking... Everything that I was feeling, this paper said I was going to be having. So I thought to myself, okay, this is it. This is exactly what's normal. And unfortunately, it wasn't normal. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But it most definitely was not normal. And then I finally decided that I was going to go to the washroom. I had my phone on me, and my dad was like, you have a problem, you call me. Just let me know. I'll come and help you. No big deal. And I stood up. And immediately was like, ooh, I don't like this feeling. So I sat back down. And so I got to take a piss. I got to start unloading stuff here. So I stand up, walk around to my bed. And as I'm reaching for the handle to grab the door, I'm so dizzy that I collapse. My shoulder hits the one side of the door. I hit my face first into the ground. Boom. Passed right out. I woke up to my dog, Dozer. You guys see him sometimes. I woke up to him licking me in the arm. Like, he obviously could tell that I was fucked up and something was wrong. And I woke up. My face hurt like a motherfucker. and my face was hurting, and I could hear this high, like, I wish I had something to replicate it, but it was like a high tinge, like humming out of my ear, and I was just sweating. So my dog's licking my arm, and I'm like, fuck me. I've got to go to the bathroom. So I crawl a little bit, and then I go to the bathroom, and I'm dizzy. I can barely take a piss. I've got one hand on the fucking counter, the other one on my small penis, and it's a struggle, guys. I release and immediately turn around, take some deep breaths, and then just try to beeline it back. And when I mean beeline it, I mean like dragging my face across the wall, my body. It was so pitch black. It was fucking pitch black. I couldn't see fucking anything. My phone that I had on me, I didn't have on me when I got off the bed, because if I remember when I told you, I stood up, I felt dizzy and sat back down. I put the phone down on the side. So that was my fuck up. Second fuck up was after collapsing, I should have, after waking up from the collapse, I should have maybe done an assessment instead of just crawling to the bathroom, pissing, and going back. And the whole time I'm like, I wasn't breathing well. It was hard to breathe. And the next morning, my mom comes, and at this point now I'm like, that's my breathing. That was my breathing pattern. It was like either like a fucking woman pregnant or just a dog that went for a long walk. I tell her that I collapsed, and she immediately gets pissed off, and she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You collapsed. And hold on one second. Yeah, so my mom's just cutting into me. She's like, you stupid idiot, what are you doing? Why didn't you call us? Blah, blah, blah. And I get her to have a look. So I do. My mom just gives me the gears, and she's like, do you feel like going to the hospital or anything? I'm like, no, I don't need to go. I feel fine. But I'm like, I don't need to go. I'm fine. What are you talking about? Like that kind of, I was just like, oh man, it's really hard to breathe. So go halfway through the day, and I'm not feeling well at all. And my mom tries to feed me food, and I'm eating it, but it's like I'm still feeling gross, and I'm still trying to take these fucking drugs too, like fucking raw. It was raw as fuck. So then we end up, my aunt shows up, comes to say hi and talk to me, and immediately she's fucking raw. It was raw as fuck. So then we end up, my aunt shows up, comes to say hi and talk to me, and immediately she's like, hey, do you want to go to emergency? And now I'm getting pissed off, and I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be. I wasn't pissed off, but I was getting irritated, and like to hear this constant like, you want to go to the emergency, while you're like so then my daughter comes home from school, she's trying to help me out, but I'm agitated, I'm irritated, and I'm sick, and I'm being a dick. And then I guess, I don't know if my mom had been conspiring behind my back or just had a friend, and friend was concerned, but said, we have a blood pressure machine if you'd like to borrow it. Looks like it's a $10 thing. Like it probably doesn't read well. So she does it, and I get a pretty low number, like an 82. And I'm like, see, thing's a piece of shit, doesn't work. Now my mom's panicking, and rightfully so. And fuck, honestly, but when that lady dropped off that blood pressure machine, she saved my life. Hands down, she saved me so much. So between her and my mom's persistence, I'm here. So she calls my sister and says, it's low. What should we do? My sister's like, he's got to go to the hospital. Looked at my mom and was like, I need you to call an ambulance because I have to go. So while she leaves to go and do that, my daughter is now at this point scared. The guys show up, talk to me for like 20 minutes, and they're like, okay, well, let's get you out of here. And this is like the first time now where it's the worst it's ever been. I stand up, I take 2 steps, I shit you not, 2 steps, and I flop down. I flop like right onto the cart, and I fucking just throw my body into it, and I'm like, I can see gray, everything's going gray, and everything was just like until it was like fade to black. I ended up going with these guys, and they were trying to get me, they were trying to put an IV on me, doing their job like paramedics are supposed to. It's blue here. I guess my blood pressure was so low that they took it. Like, they couldn't take my blood. So we get to the hospital. I'm trying to explain what's happening, and they still have no knowledge. Like, they were looking at me like, are you sure? Like, it's like, I can't move. If I move, I'm gonna throw up, I'm gonna feel sick. But if I just lay here and I just go, then I'm okay. I could probably have done it forever. A lot of people were just taking notes, but nobody was actually doing anything. Finally, this one doctor came in, and it's emergency. Don't get me wrong. I'm not harping on them. I don't know what procedures are. I'm not a fucking nurse, and I'm not a paramedic. I'm not any of those. But the paramedics saw how I was. Like, I think just going off of their word, they would have been like, okay, this is an emergency. But an hour goes by, and a doctor comes in with an ultrasound. He's like, here's your kidneys on the screen. He's like, but I can't really see them. He's like, you might be bleeding internally. I said, okay. He's like, but we don't know for sure. We're going to call your surgeon. He's going to have to come down. He's probably going to have to open you up again. But this time he's probably going to have to do the real cut. I said, okay, no problem. And he's like, I'm urging you to sign whatever they ask for. If he needs you to reopen, just fucking sign that paper. And I said, okay, sure. And he goes, but if it's what I'm thinking, he's like, you're going to have to do a blood transfusion. And he goes, you need to sign it. And I was like, yeah, man, no problem. I'm thinking, like, why is it such a big deal that I have to sign? Do people not want it done? So again, still don't know that I'm bleeding to death. I pass out for a little bit, and then I can hear my surgeon. He's got a very distinct voice. I feel like he's Australian or from New Zealand. He comes in to talk to me. So he goes in and starts touching, and he touches the side that doesn't even have any sort of fucking problem on my stomach. No surgery was done on this side. Taps it, just like a quick, like. And I'm telling you, it was so fucking painful. I could not believe it. And he tells me that he thinks that I have a pool of blood under my diaphragm, and that's why I'm panting like a fucking dog. He tells me that he's going to order some blood. But he goes, I need you to sign these papers. I thought, okay. Like, you're going to save my life. Like, let's do it. What the fuck is the problem? Why are we even talking about this? But then I'm like, while I'm high, I can hear stuff, and I can't tell if they're dreams or if I actually heard it, but I know that there was a problem getting in the blood. Now, I don't have a special blood. I don't have like a rare blood type. Anyways, that's irrelevant. Point was that they needed blood and it had to be delivered, but they could only send 2 pints versus the 3 that they were asking for. So they start getting me ready. They're prepping me, and then they start taking the bed, the cart, whatever I'm on, and they start taking me towards the surgery room. They start taking my clothes off, but now I'm freezing, and I'm starting to shake. So the doctor's like, fuck. Then the blood shows up, and he puts on this little blankie, and he's pumping hot air in my body because I am now shivering. But yeah, I'm convulsing. or shaking. I'm gonna say shaking and shivering. And he puts his hot thing over me, and I can feel it, and I'm like, oh, it feels so nice. But I'm still just shaking. They immediately start pumping in the blood. And this other doctor comes and talks to me about putting me out. And I start getting this mask. They start giving me the gas. And then I feel like they're putting something in my throat. And I'm out. I wake up in the hospital in, I don't know, surgical care. Still high as fuck. But there's a woman, a nurse, not a woman, a nurse. And she is giving me a catheter. She's putting in a catheter, but I'm sleeping. And I wake up to that. And I'm like, oh, I open my eye and I'm like, the fuck? She's like, oh, don't mind me. I'm like, yeah, don't worry, I don't mind. But it was weird. I almost felt violated. Then I went back to bed. I woke up and in the morning my parents came. I kept telling a lot of people to not come and visit me because it was over. It was over. But the reality is that, like, I guess when someone wants to come and offer you help, don't say no. Don't be a dick. But if someone wants to come, then just let them. Then, you know, the next day my surgeon showed up to check on me, and that's when we talked. And that's when he told me that I lost almost 3 liters of blood. And he's like, what made you go in? And I was like, well, sure the fuck wasn't me. I was like, it was my mom. He's like, this could have been a lot worse. And I thought, fuck, man, I almost died. Like, what's worse than almost dying? And I guess the reality is just never waking up. That is definitely worse. Anyways, now I'm back. So I got lucky. Definitely got lucky. And now I feel weird. Like, did I deserve it? Do I deserve it? Now that I've been blessed, how do I move on? How do I move forward? It's like, how do I not squander the opportunity? It's weird. It's definitely some higher level shit to think about. Keep in mind, I don't look at it like, hey, I could be not here right now. I'll say that once in a while. It's not something that I want to feed off of or have that kind of manifestation, I guess. I don't believe, you know, like when you're fighting with someone and then you're like, oh, well, I could have died. I don't really feel like I have that mentality towards what happened to me. So the reality is, could I have died? It's possible. I'm a lucky man. Got my daughter, got my family. So I want to say thanks to you guys that watch. Yeah, I don't know what else. You guys want to see this shit? Want to see something? Sashi, nobody's seen this yet. I'm just coming back from surgery. Sorry you had to see the 24 pack. But yeah.